I, 36F, am married, 37 male, for over a decade. Some months ago, I got diagnosed with GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, and depression, post-pandemic issues. I have a therapist every week, take medication, and I see my psychiatrist once a month. But I feel like my problems with my husband is more than I can take right now. Whenever I have a meltdown, my husband doesn't want to cuddle or spend time with me. He says I have to deal with it all by myself, talk to a friend or my therapist. He says he cannot give me what I need, cuddling and support. So, when I isolate myself due to anxiety, we end up in an argument. He accuses me of ignoring our children and being rude. I get very irritated, but not violent, to him. If I decide to hang out with friends, socialization is what I truly need. He gets jealous and accuses me of looking for another man. In any of those situations he keeps arguing with me until I reach my breaking point. I end up in an anxiety attack, and need to take a sedative. When I tell him I cannot live like that, he says we need to get a divorce, because he is my trigger. I tried to explain that I have many triggers right now, due to my mental illness. I don't blame him. My problem is how he handles it. That whenever I have a problem, he runs away or transforms it into a problem about himself. He constantly says that he's not an empathetic person and doesn't know how to handle that. However, when I come to my breaking point, he says he loves me, take care of me and hug me until I fall asleep. The next day he says he want to be with me forever. I told him I feel abandoned by him, and unloved. I truly feel that he wants a divorce, but he is waiting for me to make the decision. I feel quite blind in this situation. I truly don't know what to do. I have little energy, and I wish I could focus it on getting better, especially for my kids. I can't use it to help my relationship right now. But I don't know what I should do to make him understand that. I really don't know how I can solve this problem without messing with my treatment. Any advice will be very welcomed. Thanks for reading it. So, as I posted before, I'm going through a lot at home. I've anxiety and my husband doesn't know how to cope with it. Now, I believe he simply doesn't want to cope. We visited my doctor together, so he could understand a little bit about the situation, generalized anxiety disorder and depression. Terrible idea. He criticized me all the time, blamed me for not getting better, and at the end said he didn't believe we could work out anymore. Yes, he said that to my doctor who was trying to make him understand how GAD and depression are affecting me. At the end, I was crying and he was angry at me and at the doctor. He insisted I took him to a couples therapy without his consent. The next day I asked him the question I posted. When he couldn't answer if he still loved me, I removed my wedding ring and said we were done. I couldn't be with someone who couldn't answer this simple question. More than a decade together and that's how he answered me. He apologized, cried and said he doesn't love me anymore. My anxiety has destroyed his feelings for me. I'm heartbroken, but relieved, because I couldn't spend my energy on this relationship, when clearly I was the only one fighting for it. At least now, I know it's over. However, I feel lonely, since I will have to fight this mental disorder all by myself, family lives far away. I must get better for my children and I cannot move out right now, nor him. We will have 2 different bedrooms, while sharing the house. We will also talk to a mediator, in order to organize the separation while I'm fighting against GAD and depression. I hope it's gonna help. We have the kids and they don't know yet how to tell them. I feel like I failed this family. And I'm afraid I will end up getting worse. Tell me, how did you cope with all of this, if you went through similar situation in your past? Update 1. I cannot thank you guys enough. I just want to make an update and also vent a little bit. So, after the decision to get separated, things got better at home. I believe that a weight has been removed from our shoulders, so we had almost no arguments. We were being kind to one another and my anxiety got better, as well as my depression. Things were so good that we made the mistake of sleeping together. That gave me lots of hope. Maybe we would find our way back together. After that, we talked. I told him we could not repeat that. I still have feelings for him, so it would hurt me a lot if the sex meant nothing to him. We had a mediation session and tears were all over. We agreed he would no longer hug me when I left in the morning. The mediator said we had to cut those physical connections to avoid repeating the same mistake. Also, he would clear his office, which would become my new bedroom. It was difficult, but we cut off the hugs after a couple days. He, on the other hand, asked for the day off at work. I thought it would be to clean the office, but no. Later he told me he has an internal fight. He didn't want the separation, but he believed that it was necessary, because we were not happy together. I remind him he is the one who doesn't love me anymore, and that I am unhappy due to my depression. A couple days later we were discussing something and messages kept popping up on my phone. It was a Reddit male friend, call X, who has the same name as a friend, call Z, I have over here. This same day, I would go to a party where Z would be attending. My ex got a bit uncomfortable and asked me if Z and I were flirting. I said no, and explained that the messages were from X, who lives in another country. He was clearly jealous, and when I returned from the party, my ex tried to have sex with me, which I denied. The next day, we talked about that and I asked him about his feelings. I assured him I was not interested in other people. Also, that, once again, we could not have sex if he didn't love me anymore. I asked him if he was unsure about his feelings, but he said he was just horny, nothing else. I felt so disrespected. He knew about my feelings and tried having sex with me because he was horny? The next days I kept sending him photos of the new furniture I would need to buy for my new room. I was asking him some advices regarding the size of them. None of them was good, too big, too small, too expensive. After that, I reminded him that he needed to clean the office. I told him that sharing a room was making things difficult for me. So, I asked him if he was having second thoughts, because he was delaying it, plus, he was issues with every suggestion I made regarding the furniture. He didn't even think twice before answering. Nah, I am being just lazy. You are complicating things. He suggested I could clean it myself. I reminded him that this was his job, and that we had agreed on that during the mediation. Yeah, this super sincere answer hurt, but, now we are back to arguments. Again, he does not accept my emotions and get angry or rude to me, anytime I say something he doesn't like. Update 2. We had a mediation session earlier this week. I spoke about the mixed signals he sent me, how they confused me and gave me hope. The mediator said exactly what you guys said, there is not coming back now, you made your decision clear, Ben, my ex. Can you see how you make her feel? It is not helpful, he cried and apologized to me. After the session I had a very depressive episode where I couldn't stop crying. He put me in bed, gave me my medicine and stayed with me until I fell asleep. This same night he started cleaning the office. Yesterday he went to the store to get my new mattress, so I didn't have to wait for delivery nor do it by myself. He also measured the things I needed and helped me with everything related to the new furniture. I think reality wasn't hitting him so deep down as it was supposed to be. Our next step will be the worst one, to tell the kids what's going on. I already prepared notes to send to their teachers and got a therapist in case they need someone to talk to. Update 3. My ex said something a time ago regarding a lost friendship and I would like to use this metaphor over here. This separation feels like grieving without a body to grieve on. I have to go through all the mourning phases, as if I have lost something. I did lose my emotional support, my confidant and who I used to lean on. I am learning how to walk alone again, and it hurts a lot. However, I am fine. It does not hurt as much as before and I feel less lost. I denied, I got angry, then tried to bargain. I got more depressed and hurt, but finally I arrived at acceptance. Each stage had its own time. I needed help to get over each one of them. I am not ready to date anyone, but I am having a blast getting to know new people. My ex, on the other hand, is having a hard time. He cried a lot last week, got angry, tried to annul the separation and get back together. He asked me to change my passwords, so he would not give in to the desperation to check my phone. I tried to help him, because I am like that. I love him, he is part of my life and my kid's dad. I cannot leave him suffering. So I offered him some help, some support. But also, I respected my limits, my boundaries and I didn't betray my process. I didn't let him kiss me, but I gave him a hug when he needed. I was able to separate each feeling, because I was being his friend, not his wife anymore. And I was able to do that without jeopardizing my progress of acceptance. Now I sleep better, I can concentrate on my job, tell friends about my separation and feel that my anxiety and depression are getting better. I am helping him as much as I can, but I accept that the separation is necessary at the moment. I accept that we might get back together in the future, or not. I am not anxious about it right now. I am accepting the present and the past, and hoping for a better future. And for the first time, in months, I told my therapist that in a couple months I might be able to reduce the dose of my medication. Update 4. So, I went to a birthday party with some friends and I met someone, let's call him Nate. He is very nice, has a beautiful smile, and is also divorced. His ex told him she didn't love him anymore and asked for the divorce. Oh. But there is a problem, he used to be my ex's coworker. So, during the party, he and I talked a lot, due to so much in common. My friend reminded me we were both single and we were definitely enjoying each other's company. The party was amazing and I was drinking a lot, so I decided I would stay for the night in my friend's house. I was sitting on the floor when Nate came to sit close to me with a gorgeous smile. I felt like 1,000 butterflies were in my stomach. We were laughing, talking and he was sitting very, very close to me. Suddenly he tried to kiss me, but I said no. I totally freaked out. I invited him outside so we could talk away from people. I said I thought that being with him would be a bad idea, due to my ex, Ben, knowing him. When his ex asked for the divorce, he was very sad and told my ex about it. They were not friends, but they could have been. Nate told me he was really into me, complimented my beauty and my smile, and held my hand. We were both drinking a lot, so I just gave in and kissed him back. And it was amazing. I was not checking my phone and Ben was trying to reach me out to check if I was really okay. I usually don't drink to the point I cannot drive or take an Uber. So, Ben contacted my friend to ask if I was okay. So, my friend texted me to let me know what was going on, since she knew I was with Nate. She told Ben I was with her, sleeping. When I came home in the morning he started asking me questions, where I was, who I was with. I told him I didn't have to answer him, it was my privacy. So, I found out he checked all my social media accounts and messages, read all my private messages with my friend and wrote nasty things to her due to her lie. He also reached Nate and said nasty things to him too. He said they were friends and that Nate had betrayed him. Furthermore, he used a fake account, a sexy girl, to message a guy he thought I was with. Ben said I acted like a 20-year-old girl, who had no responsibilities nor kids, because I came back in the morning. I felt terrible after that. I knew my kids were safe with him, but maybe he is right. He said I need to grow up and not go out drinking again like a young girl. It is not the first time he has told me that. Ben cried all day long, asked me to come back to him, to try again, and that he didn't want to lose me. I told him I didn't believe in his love at all, but he swore he truly loved me, that he was mistaken. I met Nate a couple days later to apologize for Ben's reactions. Nate told me things I didn't remember at all, alcohol. According to him, I called myself too old to make out with someone, not attractive due to some white hairs and a mother's body, and that I didn't deserve his compliments. Nate was gentle and kind to me and said how much he wanted to spend time with me again. He made me feel beautiful and attractive again, and not too old. Nate will be away for 2 months now. He texted me a couple times and we saw each other again before his departure. He said he understands this is all new to me and too soon, but that he would like to take me on a date when he comes back. I, on the other hand, feel like being with him is wrong, very wrong, and sleeping with or going on a date is even worse. Update 5. I hadn't moved out yet. Unfortunately, I currently live in a place where rents are increasing way too much. I cannot afford a place where I could live with my kids. But since we have a counselor, we are setting some strong boundaries. Now, something really creepy. What are the chances Ben and Nate share the same birthday? My friend, who believes in astrology, said this is a bad sign. I don't believe in those things. Update 6. I had a date with Nate and things went amazingly well. After putting my kids to bed, I went out and had a great time with him. We have a very nice connection and spent the night together. Nate was very sweet. At first, Ben was very upset and cried a lot when I told him I was going out with Nate. He truly hates Nate and believes he is a bad influence on our kids. He still implies that Nate is a homewrecker and a horrible person. After a few days, he got better once he found someone to go out with. I found out who she was because she decided to stalk me on social media. Now, Ben goes out with her and he is back to his normal self, a happy single man who can be rude to his ex-wife. When he was alone, he begged me to give him another chance and cried during our meetings while professing his love. Once he found someone, he went back to being rude and reaffirmed to the conciliator that we are better separated. So, clearly, his problem was being alone. I also had a hard time with my depression this last month and had to return to my previous drug dosage. One of the reasons why I am unable to move out is that I am a part-time worker and a part-time student. During the pandemic, I became a HSM and had to take care of my baby at home while my kids had online classes and Ben struggled with depression. Once things got back to normal, I decided to pursue my dream of getting a master's degree. Now, with the divorce, I am in a bad spot. To make things worse, my work hours were cut in half a couple of weeks ago, and I got into a car accident the same week and lost my car. These were just some of the bad things that happened last month, and my mental health was wrecked. I feel stuck right now, with less money, a student loan to pay back, and an unfinished degree. At least during those bad moments, I could see who would be there for me. Ben was extremely rude to me when I called him for help after my car accident. I had one of my kids with me, and I was totally lost and nervous. The airbag came out, and I needed a ride home. From the phone call to the moment we went home, he didn't say one nice word to me. On the day I was informed I had lost some work hours, he made me cry in front of the kids. Nate, on the other hand, took me for a walk, so I could cry and swear as much as I needed to. He told me a million times that I can call him anytime, especially if I'm having an anxiety attack. He made it clear he wants to be there for me and even offered me his place if I need to take some days off to recharge. I truly didn't want to find a person right now. I am not one of those people who cannot be alone. I wanted to get better and focus on my mental health, but for some reason, Nate came into my life. He became one of the happy moments I have in my days with his good morning messages. His hugs became a place where I feel safe and happy, and seeing him makes me feel good. It is clear that I cannot start dating him while living with Ben. It feels wrong, and Nate agrees with me. But he told me he is not going to see anyone else besides me and that he is in love with me. He even told his mother about me. Right now, we simply try to see each other once a week, so we can enjoy the time together. Update 7. Hi everyone, I'm looking for some advice and feedback on my current situation with my ex-husband. We've been having ongoing issues with co-parenting, and I'm wondering if his behavior constitutes parental alienation and what steps I can take. Here's what's been happening. Incident 1. Last week, my ex-husband was extremely rude to me in front of our kids and his mother. He was supposed to return some library books to the school that were at his place. He has ADHD. When I asked if he had returned them, he said, "I didn't and I won't. I won't do what you demanded me," which I didn't do. "If you want them returned, you should return them yourself." His mother spoke to me 2 days later, explaining that she talked to him about his attitude towards me, especially in front of our kids. She mentioned that he was repeating the same behavior his dad exhibited towards her and that the kids would soon realize how badly he treated their mother. Incident 2. Yesterday, we were all together for a farewell dinner for his mother. My youngest ran away from us in the middle of the parking lot. We all spoke at the same time to get her to stop. I was the loudest, yelling, "The cars." She stopped, and my ex decided to scold me for yelling at our child. He said, "Control yourself in front of our kids and his mother again." I stared at him and said, "Don't scold me in front of the kids." He replied, "Go scold our child. I'm not in the wrong here." Private discussion today, when we were alone and away from the kids, I requested him, once again, to please not scold or disrespect me in front of the kids. I explained that if he disagrees with my actions, he should talk to me about it later. I emphasized that his behavior shows the kids that it's okay to talk to their mother that way. He said I was wrong and that I should control myself. He insisted that if the kids were in any danger, I should control my emotions, or he would scold me in front of them again. I explained that dismissing me in front of the kids could be seen as parental alienation. He responded by saying I was wrong and delusional. He refused any advice or guidance from professionals, stating that no matter what psychologists or therapists might say, he has his own opinion and won't change it. He told me he will no longer have this conversation and to sue him if I didn't agree with his behavior. Refusal of mediation and therapy. He has stated that he will not engage in any family therapy or mediation. Despite the existence of a center that helps divorcing couples with co-parenting, he refuses to talk to them. He says that we are not a couple and that his co-parenting is great. He also refuses to speak with a personal therapist, as he doesn't believe he needs it. According to him, any issues we have are because I try to control him. He insists that scolding me in front of them is necessary when I yell at our child, when she runs away from me, claiming he is protecting her. Given these incidents, I'm looking for advice on the following. 1. Parental alienation. Does his behavior constitute parental alienation? 2. Legal steps. What legal steps can I take to address his disrespect and refusal to co-parent cooperatively? I'm in Quebec, Canada. 3. Mediation. Is there a way to enforce mediation or counseling through the court system? Any advice or shared experiences would be greatly appreciated. Now on to second story. Discovered my manager is having an affair with my engaged colleague. I wrestle with revealing the truth as their wedding nears. I have 2 colleagues who are about to get married to each other. Let us call them Joe and Kate. Unfortunately, I know for a fact that Kate is having sex with Peter, who is my direct manager. It's an open secret in the office that Peter and Kate often go on work trips together, and everyone knows it except Joe. This isn't speculation, because about a month ago, Peter and Kate were gone but there was a deadline to meet. So Peter joined one of our meetings via video, and we saw Kate try to sneak behind, undressed. Fortunately, Joe wasn't in the meeting, different team. I am wondering what exactly I should do here? Morally I am against cheating, but also, and I can't stress this enough, I just don't want to deal with the mess of it all. However, the wedding is approaching and I have received an invite. I can't in good conscience go to this wedding when I not what I know. I feel a moral compulsion to tell Joe, but is it even my business? Should I even get involved? Other than this mess, I generally like my office and my coworkers. I am paid well for my role, and other than his less than stellar attitude towards sexual fidelity, Peter is a good manager who has my back. My industry is quite niche, and my skill set is specialized, so finding another job won't be an issue. But, I am comfortable here and really don't want to switch. But every time I see poor Joe around the office, the guilt consumes me. I am so anxious about this, that my appetite has reduced and my husband and I have seriously started looking for a therapist for me to help me deal. Update 1. HR was kind of a joke in my former company. They didn't do anything but perpetuate gossip. No such thing as anonymous complaints. Peter and Kate were different departments, think sales and accounting. The good news, a few days after I submitted the letter to you, I ended up submitting my resignation. I start my new job next month. So far, my coworkers seem nice. We've had one casual hang/mixer organized by the new workplace. Everyone bought food. My brownies were a hit. My new company had been trying to poach me for a while, and I just decided to take the plunge. I truly can't tell you how happy I am to be away from that mess. I've just been relaxing at home now. My former coworkers keep me updated about everything that's happening and safe to say, I left at the right time. Bullets dodged. Peter was blindsided by my resignation, and asked me why I was leaving and if there was anything they could do to keep me, but I refused. I was willing to serve my notice period, but Peter said it wasn't necessary and I could leave immediately since I clearly thought I was better than them. It was in that moment it became clear to me that I'd been telling myself Peter is a good boss, but he clearly isn't. Even your advice touched on this briefly. So I cleared my stuff out by the end of the day, went home, and cuddled with my dogs. Since then, Peter's boss contacted me, asking me to at least serve my notice period. I only responded by sharing Peter's last email to me, where he threatened to have me escorted off company property if I wasn't gone by the end of the day. The grand boss proceeded to call me to convince me to come back. In a rare moment of wanting to be confrontational, I told him I wouldn't feel comfortable coming back because of many reasons, not just Peter's rudeness. I told him all about Peter and Kate. I told him my former company simply didn't have adequate safeguards, so even if I wanted to report this nonsense I couldn't without being afraid of retaliation. My former grand boss clearly wasn't ready for my verbal diarrhea. Said he would call me back, but it has been blessed silence since. On to the actual update, aka what is going on with Peter, Joe, and Kate. The day after I left, Peter and Kate left for another business trip. However, when Kate returned home she realized their house was empty. Completely bare. It would seem Joe had been aware of the affair for a while, and instead of confronting Kate or Peter he'd been lining his ducks in row so he could just up and disappear. He resigned by email, no mention of a notice period. No one knows where he is, or what he is doing. Kate apparently tried to file a missing persons, but Joe had already informed the police he wasn't a missing person. At the same time as Kate came home and realized Joe was gone, his entire family also blocked all forms of communication with her. She tried to show up at Joe's parents' house, only for his parents to claim they don't know her, they never knew her, and if she didn't get off their property they'd call the police. I know all this from my coworkers, who know all this from Kate because she can't stop talking about it at work. She doesn't know why Joe would have done this. Few days after that, she also dumped Peter in a rather public, unhinged way, saying that he hypnotized her, and her life was falling apart because of him. But apparently it didn't stick for long because the next day they were having loud and violent sex in Peter's office during lunch hours. There are rumors circulating that both Peter and Kate are about to be fired. Not sure why they haven't been fired already.